Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another inquiry series, A Way Through with Michelle Terrill-Heath, the author of Your Wildest Dreams, a Parkinson's love story. We're just going to get into this piece that you wrote around protecting a caregiver's heart. Can you just tell me a couple things from this that you mentioned just really quick?
The big theme of the piece is that caregiving and being a patient with a disease can be a very isolating experience and very lonely experience. And that there's people that every single person in the life of people who are caregiving, every single family member, every single friend, every single even acquaintance can help protect the caregiver's heart. And instead of feeling isolated, lonely, alone in the situation, here it is coming up a new year. What I want this inquiry to inspire people to, as part of their new year choices, to be able to say, I know somebody who's suffering. I know somebody who's caregiving for their father, their mother, their child, their spouse, whatever, their friend. And I'm gonna do something a little different. And what I'm asking people to do in this piece is to jump into the life of those people rather than giving space and jumping out of it. And what I mean by jumping into that life does not mean making yourself uncomfortable or in putting yourself into a position that you're not happy with. I guess it might be a little uncomfortable at first, but what I'm asking people to do is to come into those lives of people living as patients and caregivers and offer what you can offer. Maybe it's a phone call.
It's a beautiful,
Maybe
beautiful image, Michelle.
a
Yeah,
letter. Maybe it's an email. Maybe it's a coming over and bringing some New Year cheer,
that's
like,
right.
some hot soup,
That's
or it can be so many different things, but what it isn't is turning away. It's a turning towards. And when you turn towards the caregiver and the patient, that is that is the way to protect the hearts of those people who can be isolated and lonely, no matter what. Even if it's awkward, turning towards can be stating what you see.
that's
I see as being lonely. Are you?
yeah,
S-
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's really good.
Asking, can I do something?
It's a great invitation, Michelle, and I would say just to double down on that, for the listeners and what's worked for me in the past is usually to just find what people like to do, because versus an obligation, because of course caring for our caregivers, is a great way. Like it takes a village, right, to raise a child and also to take care of a caregiver. But I would suggest ask people in your life who are really like love, cooking or love, helping out in certain ways, because I mean, even young people, I think there's certain things you could tap into that they love doing, like, so just I think finding places where people really want to help is also important. And I just wanna say before we're gonna make this shorter these times, so, something that really, definitely, made me feel for this piece is that you said you felt like you were living the life of 2 people. You want just to talk about that for a second and how hard that is? Because we are talking about protecting someone's heart, and I think there's something to that.
Yeah. I do get a lot of feedback from my community, people that I know and that Andy knows here in Taos, New Mexico. People give me feedback like, "Oh, well, Andy, he looks so good. He seems so good. I'm so glad he's doing so well. Oh my gosh, Andy, like he's just like really thriving." And I am always like, "Yes, he is." And you know why? Um and people don't really understand what it takes. So it's sort of like people go, "Yeah, well, Michelle, she's there. She takes care of Andy, and it's like not a big deal." And then when I offer somebody a little insight into what that actually means, living for 2 people, I say to somebody, "Just think about this. Think about if you were in charge of how much water somebody else drinks. And every single day, you have to think about that water that they need to drink, and you need to put it into a cup, and you need to give it to them, and then you need to make sure they drink it. Because often if you don't, come back an hour later, it's not drunk. And you have to make sure that that water gets drunk in a period of time by a certain time. And then think about if you had to do the communication for another person. You do all your own communication, you do phone calls, and you do, you know, emails and you answer letters and you make appointments, you make medical appointments. If you had to do every bit of communication for another person in addition to your own communication, and then think about living with someone with dementia. I give this example in my next blog, so I'll give away a little bit, where you're just living life, but every day that person makes errors now that you need to correct. Um, so what I'm saying is there's a lot that goes on, and there's very simple, small things, even acknowledgement, even just acknowledgement instead of saying, Andy looks so great, even saying, Andy looks so great. And I know it took a lot of your work to get him to that position. And I so appreciate you doing that because I love Andy so much. That is like, oh, that feeds your heart. When you're just saying, Andy, you're doing so great. Andy. It's sort of like, yeah, okay, I guess I can be that unacknowledged person for sure. That's the bane the difficulty of a lot of people who are caregivers.
Of course, and you didn't sign up to get any sort of praise, but I would say what I'm hearing is let's not forget what it takes behind the scenes for anybody in our society or community who are thriving. Our children, good parenting, good partnering. It takes a lot. It takes two. It takes more than just one
And if you're
person.
just one person living by yourself without a disease like you are, it takes a lot to keep yourself going.
It does, yeah. We're and I
With each other is important. And not to be saying like it's not a big competition or comparison thing. It's just to be saying, let's in this new year, let's acknowledge each other for caregivers, but for everybody. Let's acknowledge each other and give each other what we can.
yeah.
And instead of just kind of being in our own little isolated bubble of life.
I wish we could play this Alicia Keys song right now called "Good Job." It came out during the pandemic, and it was this, all of the people who are working in between to kind of keep the fabric of our society alive at that time, and it was like she's like, "You're doing a good job," and I think that's a good way to end our talk right now.
I think so
I
too.
You're doing a great job, Michelle, and all the listeners I'm doing a great job. So happy New Year, everyone. And we're going to do much more of these in 2026. We're going to make them shorter. Like, comment, subscribe, share. We'd love to hear from you guys too. So if you can just tell us anything that you're going through, any caregiver journeys or how you protect your caregiver heart, that would be great for us to know so we can talk about those things. We'll see you next time.